you need to know at least the three terms of, is this on the record, off the record, or on background? And a lot of times when, I'm just going to say this, like when your first interaction with media, and maybe some of you in the audience are like pros and you're just trying to get a little golden nugget, or maybe you've never interacted with media, but the first time you just sort of want to tell them everything. You're just so honored to be able to talk to them. And you just like, you don't know the rules of engagement, but it's really important. And AILA taught me this years before I even was on the media advocacy committee. You need to know, are you going to say directly beforehand? You start talking on record, off the record, on background. And a lot of times they might ask, can I record you? And things like that. So if you're on the record, whatever you say can be used by the journalist. And I've also had conversations with journalists, like at bus stations, when I was doing family separation stuff at the border, and like literally I was later quoted in an article and I didn't really realize that. And so you have to be careful, because journalists are usually on all the time. They don't just sort of like lawyers, like we don't remember how to stop, or business owners, so they're usually on all the time. And you have to be able to say, like, this is just a casual conversation off the record. And so off the record, don't use the information at all. But this is something they could later use to try to find somebody else to back it up. And then on background, you cannot in any way identify you as a source, but they're very likely going to want to go find somebody else to back you up as well. And not for attribution, cannot be quoted by name. Chuck, do you want to mention anything here, clarify?
It is possible. Yeah, these are all good points. You've got to, when generally speaking, a reporter calls you at the most inconvenient time.
Yeah.
They never call it a convenient time. So first of all, just the first rule is, I have an assistant who helps me with stuff at the firm here. This is what I told her: if a reporter calls, you find me. Whatever I'm doing, you find me, you interrupt me. And so that's the first rule, because reporters don't call you unless they're on deadline.
Yep.
Every now and then somebody goes, yeah, I'm doing a background story. It's due in an hour. All right. No, you got to be on the right now. I'm right now. So one, you get right with them, or you call them back immediately. But two, you first find out why they're calling you. Generally, it's for two reasons. One, you have a case in the media. All right. You have an important case, a big case. I mean, example of this was the 21 Savage case that I did a couple of years ago, which, by the way, is still going on, but we don't want the media involved, so we don't say anything. So I knew they were calling me about that. So I then determined with my client what I can say and what I can't say. So I've already cleared with my client the things that I want to talk about in that particular case. Alternatively, they'll call you because you are a recognized expert, in people immigrating from Ireland, because I see Fiona here. So I'm gonna call Fiona because she knows about people coming from Ireland, and I have a question about a story I'm doing. So it's a more general question, so that's an easier kind of situation. Then you want to know, going on your terms, do you want to quote me? How do you want to do the story? If you're uncomfortable speaking about the case you're doing, for example, you say, I want all this off the record as we talk. And then if there's something you want on the record, you can say, I want this on the record. So it's very, very important to keep presence of mind when speaking to a reporter, because generally speaking, they're not your friend. They're there to get information and put it out there. So just keep that in mind as you're focused on these things.